Welcome to Conversion and Analytics Solved. I'm Ivan Pika, a conversion rate optimization consultant. For the last 8 years, I've been helping businesses figure out why their traffic isn't converting. My approach is simple: data over opinions, systematic testing over random changes, and honest conversations over sales pitches. Today I want to talk about something that sounds boring, but is actually fascinating: heat maps. In my last episode, I asked you to install Hotjar or Clarity. If you actually followed through, and I really hope you did, you now have about a week's worth of data just sitting there. And here's the thing: most people install these tools, look at the pretty colors once or twice, and then nothing. They don't really know what they're looking for. That's what we're fixing today. We're going to talk about click maps, scroll maps, and engagement zones. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how to use them without falling into the traps that waste your time and lead to bad decisions. Let me start with something important. Clarity and Hotjar are qualitative tools, not quantitative ones. You can't rely on heat maps alone for exact click-through rates or statistical significance. I see this mistake all the time. People look at a heat map and say, well, 50 people clicked here, so that's our winner. No, that's not how it works. While some tools show you element click counts, they don't give you the user-level precision you get from proper event tracking in GA4 or your analytics platform. So, what can they actually show you? They show you approximate click counts on page elements. They show you how much time people spend in different sections of your page. And honestly, the most valuable thing, they reveal visual patterns of user behavior that you'd never catch just looking at numbers in a spreadsheet. Used correctly, they're extremely valuable for identifying friction points. The key phrase there is used correctly. Oh, and one quick thing: Microsoft Clarity doesn't offer hover or move maps like Hotjar does. So think about what behaviors you actually need to track when you're choosing between them. Alright, here's the framework that keeps you from just randomly changing things and hoping for the best. Before you make any changes based on what you see in a heat map, you need 3 things. First, observation. What pattern are you actually seeing? Be specific, not "people aren't clicking enough." That's vague and useless. Instead, 40% of users drop off at section 3, or "I'm seeing rage clicks on the pricing table." Second, hypothesis. Why might this be happening? Maybe it's an unclear value proposition. Maybe there's a broken interaction. Maybe you're missing a trust signal at a critical moment. Third, what's the smallest change you can make to test your hypothesis? Add a tooltip, move a call to action higher up the page, simplify some copy, start small. This framework prevents you from going into what I call fix everything mode, where you change 10 things at once and then have no idea what actually worked. It helps you learn systematically how to actually use click and scroll maps. Let me walk you through the practical stuff now. Define your page goal first. This sounds obvious, but I'm amazed how many people skip this step. Before you even open the heatmap tool, ask yourself, what should users actually do on this page? What actions typically happen right before they convert? If you don't know the answer, you're just looking at pretty colors. The data means nothing without context. Check element visibility heatmaps show you an approximate snapshot of what users see. Just keep in mind that dynamic elements get captured as they appear at load time. So if something loads in after a second or two, that matters. Ask yourself, are my critical elements visible above the fold? What percentage of users even scroll past them? And here's the key question: if users saw the element but didn't interact with it, why not? As a benchmark, typically 50 to 70% of users scroll past the first screen on landing pages. If you're way below that, something's wrong with your opening. Identify misclicks. Clicks on non-interactive elements are gold. They signal confusion. Users expect something to happen, but nothing does. They think it's a button, but it's not. Let me give you a real example from a project I did. I worked with an online education client who had this prominent badge on their landing page that said, "Don't pay until you pass." Sounds great, right? When I looked at the click maps, I saw heavy engagement on that badge. People were clicking it like crazy. But here's the problem. It wasn't clickable. It was just an image. Users wanted to know more. They wanted to understand the requirements, how it technically worked, what the catch was. So we added a simple tooltip that explained the guarantee terms when you hovered over it. This site had hundreds of thousands of monthly users. That one small fix delivered a 2% conversion rate uplift. At their scale, that translated to significant revenue. The action here is simple. Either make these elements functional, turn them into micro conversions that move people forward, or remove the visual cues that make them look interactive. Don't leave users confused. Watch for rage clicks. You know what rage clicks are, right? When someone clicks the same element multiple times rapidly, it's frustration made visible. Usually it means a broken link, something loading too slowly, or the functionality isn't clear. Fix it. Either solve the technical issue or make it crystal clear what that element actually does. Find engagement zones. The heat intensity shows you where people spend time reading or hovering. This is super interesting because it often doesn't match where you think they are paying attention. Here's what to do. If the high engagement zones align with your key message, fantastic, you've done your job. If users are focusing somewhere else entirely, you have two options. Either enhance that content because clearly they care about it, or redirect their attention back to what you actually want them to see. And remember, your job is to guide user attention, not blindly follow it. Don't just put more stuff where people are already looking. Think about why they're looking there and what they need next. Spot the content. Cliff. A sharp scroll drop-off at a specific point usually means one of four things. The content suddenly feels irrelevant. You've hit them with a wall of text. A large image pushed key information too far down. Or a slow loading section interrupted their flow. Here is your action plan. Move critical proof points, reviews, pricing, guarantees above that cliff. Break up your content with subheaders so it's scannable. For long pages, add jump to navigation so people can find what they need. Diagnose high scroll, low action. This one's interesting. When users scroll all the way to the bottom but don't convert, it tells you something specific. They're doing research, but they're not convinced. They're missing trust signals, or the next step isn't clear enough. Add stronger proof near decision points. Reviews that speak to actual outcomes. Your refund policy, security badges if you're handling payments, comparison tables, FAQs that address real objections. Segment your analysis. Here's something critical that most people miss. Don't analyze all your traffic together. That's like averaging the temperature of your refrigerator and your oven and saying your kitchen is room temperature. It's meaningless. Segment by traffic source. Paid visitors behave differently than organic visitors. Segment by geographic region. Segment by device type. I can't tell you how many times I've seen mobile completely broken while desktop works fine. Segment by user stage, new versus returning visitors. Different segments behave differently. Optimize accordingly. When to watch session recordings. I'm going to cover this in depth in another episode, but here's the key principle that'll save you hours. If you find a puzzling pattern in your heat maps, unexpected clicks, weird drop-offs, something that just doesn't make sense, don't just guess. Filter your session recordings by that specific element and actually watch what users do. You'll see the why behind the data. Sometimes it's obvious once you watch it, sometimes it's bizarre and you'd never have guessed it. What to avoid? Don't work with tiny sample sizes. But also understand that there are tiers here. 100 to 300 sessions? That's enough to spot obvious UX issues and clear patterns. If your checkout button isn't visible on mobile, you'll see it. 500 to 1,000 plus sessions? That's enough to make confident optimization decisions for most changes. The higher the stakes or the smaller the expected lift, the more data you need. If you're redesigning your entire homepage, get more data. If you're testing whether to move one button up 100 pixels, you need less. And here's the other big one. Don't change everything at once. You might spot 10 issues. Great. Fix them incrementally. Otherwise, you have no idea which changes actually move the needle. Maybe one change added 5% to your conversion rate, and another one cost you 3%, but you only see plus 2% overall and think everything worked. That's not learning. That's guessing with extra steps. Next steps. Look, this simple heat map analysis can significantly improve your pages. I've seen it hundreds of times. Small changes, big impact. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to prioritize which pages actually deserve your attention first. Because you can't optimize everything, and you shouldn't try. Thanks for listening to Conversion and Analytics Solved. Talk soon.